Recently, I had the opportunity to speak in front of a group about Visionary Video Hub at 1 Million Cups. It's a networking group, a group about entrepreneurship, and it was a lot of fun. Here's that presentation.
Well, without further ado, please come on up. Andrew Pfeffer. I'm gonna hand him his mic. Yeah. We got a lot of cool doodads and stuff here. Cheers. Thank you and welcome.
You bet. I'm trying to set the record for doodads in one presentation.
I'm pretty sure you got it.
Yeah, okay, good. My name is Andrew Pfeffer. I am the founder of Visionary Video Hub, which is a full-service video production company. I have a lot of experience in this kind of thing, dating back to about 2001 or even before if you count college, but I'll get into a lot of that in the presentation. So let's first talk about the name. Visionary Video Hub is not anything that is linked to anything significant in my life, okay? I went to ChatGPT, I did multiple prompts, I said, find me something that isn't on the web anywhere. And then once it gave me a list and I didn't really like that list, okay, now incorporate something a little more meaningful. Okay, incorporate something a little more this and that. And I probably went through about 10 times. I didn't want it to say films or creative because everybody's films or creative or even just, their last name and video. Should I have used my name? Maybe. I don't know. And this isn't something that's written in rock either. I mean, this name could change in a year for all I know. It's my first time owning a business, my first time running a business, so I am learning on the fly. And every day is a new lesson in things I should or shouldn't have done. I've been told over and over, you're on the right path, you're doing marketing good, you're all set up. I don't believe it. I try harder every day. So we'll see if Visionary Video Hub stays that for now. It will, but who knows? Next year, could be called something else. I don't know. Here are my offerings. When I talk about video production, I'm talking about offering this to businesses, to nonprofit organizations. The gentleman in the back asked me if I do weddings. I would not mind doing a one-off wedding here and there, but I don't want it to be my primary source of income and business. We're talking shooting recorded video, audio if needed, graphics, music underneath. It sounds like something you could pull out your iPhone and do, and you certainly can. I always tell people, you don't have to be Michael Jordan to play basketball, right? Anybody can do it. But do you have time to do it? If you're running a company and you're selling tires, do you really want to sit there with the editing and the video and all that? No, you want to sell some tires. You want to make some contacts, move product, market your product. So this kind of relieves that pain point. When I say standard and co-op, I can certainly set up a multiple camera shoot with all kinds of fancy graphics and music and different scenes and video from different places. We can certainly do that. I also offer a co-op package that I actually kind of stole the idea from somebody online, where he kind of sets up almost a podcast type shoot and runs about a half an hour video, quick turns it with minimal editing, and then the customer it's kind of designed for the customer to either put up as long form or put it through an AI type service like Opus Clip. Has anybody ever heard of Opus Clip? No? Okay. It basically looks through the long form video at incredible speed and pulls out a bunch of short clips that it turns vertical, and you can download them and put them right online. So it's kind of, when I say co-op, it's kind of me, but it's also kind of you. And then I can offer that at a lower price point because it's not as much time for me, it's not as much effort, not as much resources. Live streaming. It's funny that in my career, like I said, I've started doing video in the early 2000s. And I was in TV back then, and we had streaming video. but we never had live video. That was the big thing that we had in TV. We had live video, and that's the one thing we had over the streamers and websites, is that we could show you the car chase live. They couldn't. Well, of course, that changed over time. And now live streaming is something everybody does regularly. How many of you have done Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives, TikTok Lives? Anybody? Just me? No? You're doing it now. Yeah. So her. Anybody else? No? Yeah? Okay. Nick does them. Yeah. So, I mean, it's totally commonplace. But again, do you want to put in the effort? I can have a multi-camera setup. I can put in graphics, overlay graphics, put up slides. I could have live streamed this presentation with these slides over myself. Now I'd be running back and forth to my setup to do that, but you kind of get the gist. That's a service I offer. Voiceover, I have been told a couple times I have a radio voice. I don't hear it, but whatever. I can do voiceover and podcasting as well. Podcasting to me is basically just the audio part of the video, which is very important in the video anyway. So why not just strip out the audio and make a podcast? I can do that for you as well.
Are you reserving questions for the end, or can we?
You can fire away.
So I want to talk a little bit about what you kind of see in terms of production setup and production quality between like the short form amateur and you as like this experienced professional. What are some things people are still missing out on, and some trends that you're having to get on top of yourself?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because there is, it used to be, oh my gosh, this has to be on a tripod. This has to look just right. It has to be this and that in order for it to be consumed, effectively by the public. And now it's almost leaning the other way, where user-generated content and, people who have the shaky phone and, maybe the garbled audio at times is kind of good, because it kind of bridges that gap between us, right? So there is some value in the tire salesman going and shooting his video about his tires. But it takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes trial and error and all that good stuff. So I can certainly do it either way. I can do a combination of both, but the pain point is the time, the effort, and all that stuff. So while there is value in it, I can certainly take it that route, but I can also do the more polished graphic, music, all that stuff.
I want to add an argument for you. It's not just the time. It's what am I going to say?
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it. And so having someone who can guide you or who can draw that out, because the camera part, you're right, that's just the technical aspects.
Yep.
And so the technical aspects people can get better, but the ability to ask questions and actually draw out the idea or the concept or the story, that's what's rare. And I don't care whether you're a tire guy or a CEO coach, it's hard to do.
Yeah, it is. And it can be hard even for me to do sometimes, but there's value in that. There's also value in being able to convince someone or persuade someone that even though they think they are camera shy, it's something you can get used to. My wife will tell you that I'm an introvert, right? I keep to myself. I don't, whatever. But when the red light's on, I can turn it on. And I would be willing to bet that I can convince you to turn it on over time too. It just takes work, it takes the want, it takes the effort. So yes, exponentially yes. Video with impact is my slogan. This is, again, something that it just kind of came to me because I do a lot of work with United Way. They talk about impact of what they do, and that kind of resonates with me because I volunteer with them a lot, I work with them a lot, I do video for them, and the impact part kind of spoke to me. By the way, have you ever seen the television commercial where like 20 seconds go by and then at the 20-second mark they put up the QR code and say, hey, zap this QR code? Well, you might notice that I've got mine up the whole presentation because of all the times that, oh, I want to zap that, but then it's too late because it's on to the next. I think we're getting better at that, but it's still kind of a pet peeve of mine. All right, so why form the company? There's a number of reasons. I have the gear. You can see I've got the 2 cameras here. In my last marketing job, the company had a set of gear to do video, which I used exclusively. I bought that from them. The skill. Again, I have over 20 years of experience, mostly in local TV, but also in health insurance marketing. I figured I know the things that I need to know to tell a good story on video and the gear to do it. Relatively low barrier to entry. If you're starting a business, a lot of times you got to have inventory, right? You got to have a physical space, a retail space, or an office space. I don't really need any of that because I can come to you and do this video production in your environment. We can go to multiple places and show multiple scenes, and I can do the editing at home. I can get that deliverable to you through file sharing, or I can give you a flash drive if you prefer. But there's really no stock inventory, anything like that. All I need is my gear, I need some SD cards, and I need the drive space at home, which I have. Encouragement. So when I left my last, 9-to-5 job at the health insurance company, I had a lot of people come to me and say, you need to do this independently. And I guess I had always had that at the back of my mind, but you know, a good idea is just an idea. It takes a lot to dive in, and it took me a lot of encouragement to dive in. And after person after person after person said this, you start thinking, maybe if 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10 is actually willing to buy from me, maybe this is something that could work. And name recognition. I said I have the background in local television. I've made a lot of contacts through that and through my health insurance job. So I figured that kind of works in my favor, even though I didn't call this Pfeffer Video or Pfeffer Creative. Maybe someday I will. I don't know. Oh, and now, okay. So on the encouragement part, obviously you can't do this alone, right? You need the encouragement from people, you need support, you need to be convinced. So the picture here is of Heidi Solon, who is a former coworker of mine. We bump into each other at our son's basketball games and football games and things like that. But, you know, she's been a big supporter of me, even from a distance. We don't talk every day. Lucky if we talk every couple months, but she believes in me and she gives me that encouragement that I need. Advice. There are people in business that have a lot of knowledge that I don't. I could have shot the videos 10 years ago, but I don't know the business stuff. I'm slowly starting to learn it, but it's kind of on the fly again. And there's partnerships. You talk about sponsorship, job opportunities, perhaps a trade, one service for another, a service for goods, vice versa. They're all out there. When I left the health insurance company, I met with a guy named Greg Mazurk, who is the head of the Ellie Phillips Career Development Center, which is a nonprofit on Ball Street in Eau Claire. It's housed in an old National Presto factory, and it gives job opportunities and job coaching to people who are either disabled or disadvantaged. And it's an awesome nonprofit that creates all kinds of stuff that people are not all that familiar with. It's really hard to get your arms around all the different services that they do there. But he knew me because we had partnered up before, and he said, I want you to work here. And you can work here now and be on our team. And if Visionary Video Hub takes off and you don't have time for this, we'll sign a retainer agreement with you. So that was big because, again, that goes to that encouragement. He believes and he's willing to put his money where his mouth is. Amy Desjardins, photography, she took some headshots for me on my website, which you can find by zapping the QR code, which is in every slide. But she's a former coworker, awesome photographer, and was willing to help me out with that. So who am I? I am a guy with a family. As you can see off to the left, I have a wife and a 12-year-old son. I am a former health insurance marketer. That's me in the middle. And back years ago, I was in local television. I worked 13 years at WEAU TV and a few more years at stations in Wausau and in Green Bay. So, one of the things that I learned in TV is, as you mentioned, video is just kind of the tool. The story is how we all relate to this stuff. And nobody can tell a story like I can. Now, on the surface, that may sound like me bragging, but it's not. It's fact. Nobody can tell a story like you either. We all kind of inject ourselves into these stories, whether it's known to us or not. And that uniqueness is what makes this industry kind of cool. I'm not going to go to an event that a different videographer is going to go to and produce the exact same thing. It might be similar, but we all kind of inject ourselves into these projects. And that love of the craft is something that's very dear to me. You remember what you feel longer than what you know. I could come at you with a video of a bunch of percentages and charts and text and all that good stuff, but are you really going to remember it? Maybe, if you're really into that kind of thing. But if I can get to your heart, if I can tell the story in a way that makes you feel, that it elicits some emotion out of you, then I've got you. And that's something that I think about in every video that I shoot. Testimonial. When I was brought on to partner up with the United Way, I asked, hey, as long as we're all set up and we've got the camera out and all that good stuff, would you mind doing a testimonial for me? And they had worked with me before, and they're like, absolutely. So it didn't even require its own shoot, right? We did a video project. I set up an extra GoPro camera off to the side to get the pictures of me, and when it's all said and done, I hope this works, you got testimonial.
I have worked with Andrew since March of 2024, and it has been amazing to work alongside of him. He can take my vision, take our brand, take our voice, and run with it with his skill set. And starting Visionary Video Hub was huge for him because now he can truly showcase his skill set, work with other incredible organizations in our community, but also take us to the next level too. He's gonna show up, and he's gonna make sure that the people that he cares about and the community he cares about is taken care of in whatever way, shape, or form that he can provide. He does have that passion for our community, but also the skill set to showcase that. He won't say that he's a wizard, but he truly is. We're really excited for his new business, to work alongside of that, and just to really build him up too.
I could say that stuff until I'm blue in the face. But coming from her, it's a little different, isn't it? The testimonial is huge, I think. I've heard people say, you know what, if you're not getting clients, offer yourself up for free in exchange for a testimonial. I might take you up on that. Depends. You know, I'd certainly consider it. I'd consider it. Think about it. But yeah, the testimonial is very powerful, and that was a big part of why I was proud to do that kind of stuff, because even as I'm shooting that interview, she's, you know, it makes me go, oh.
So do you have a lot of customers?
Do I have a lot of customers? Well, what's a lot?
I guess, do you have?
Do you have customers? I have a few. I have maybe a dozen or so.
Okay.
That are in different stages of the customer journey. I mentioned all those offerings. I also offer a retainer agreement too. So you have me for a period of time, for a certain number of video projects, for, I guess, some high-level consulting, if you will. So one customer is not like the next and is not like the next. Everybody has a different time frame. Some people like things done quick turn, which is great. That speaks to me because I was in news. Everything was quick turn. And some people like to let it breathe a little more, and of course it's a lot easier to slow down than it is to speed up. So yeah, I still, you know, I work at Career Development Center part-time, and that's kind of what keeps me going in this, and you know, keeps my wife from throwing me out of the house. And hopefully one day when this picks up, I can at least slow down a little bit on that. Like he said, maybe keep him as a client and move on to this. Did I answer that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so yes.
Sorry, just while you're talking to customers.
Please.
And maybe this is ahead, I'm not sure, but what about scope of projects? So we're talking about working with individuals and small businesses, but are you also thinking about like events and that level of production, or is that something you need to get more staff for and scale to?
It kind of depends. I think it depends on expectations, but I'm the kind of person that will take a crack at it if, you know, if you have your trust in me, which I need, you got to have trust, then I'm willing to take a crack at it. I can give you my honest opinion of what this is going to look like and what my bandwidth is to do something. But yeah, obviously the more people you have, the more possibilities there are, especially for movement and going to different settings at the same time. That's why at a rock concert you see, you know, 2, 3, 4 people with cameras, because some are still cameras, some are up on the stage getting the tight shot of the guy strumming the guitar. It's very hard to do that with one person. But there are possibilities. There's certainly more possibilities than just standing here and shooting the event. I like to think that, given my background in news, of course, we've had to cover lots and lots of events, and that's helped prepare me for, you know, for at least having a better idea of what the possibilities are to cover an event like that.
So, and a quick follow-up, because I'm thinking about all the different audience members, small businesses, and students. And, do you think you'll be picking up a lot of 1099 contractors, seasonal type, or even just per event? Have you thought about how you might bring people on? Because if you're at a dozen folks, you're probably not that far away from at least one part-time person coming in and helping, or so. Have you thought about it?
You know, I've thought about it, and it's certainly something that I'm considering for maybe year 2, maybe year 5, whatever, you know, goes on. I'm a middle-aged guy too. By the time I turn 60, I don't know if I want to be hauling a camera around town. So there may be more of a management role in it for me as time passes. But for now, I'm going to see what I can do on my own, and we'll go from there. Okay, creativity with marketing. Trading services for advertising is something I've done a couple times. I've done some announcing for North High School at their basketball games, and when I talked with them about doing that announcing, I said, hey, you've got a video scoreboard up there and I've seen ads on it. Is it possible that we could do something where I could make a video and get it up there? And they gave me the time requirements, and man, they put it up a lot during, I think I only announced 2 basketball games, but they put it up a lot. And that was awesome. This was a trade that I did with Bullwinkle's over on the west side of town. I did a live stream over there and said, hey, in lieu of charging for this, how about if we put my logo up on the sign outside? And sure enough. So, of course, I had to sit out there in the parking lot waiting for it to show up and take that picture. And then in-kind work for event sponsorship, that can go a long way in marketing too. I shoot a video about your event, you make me a sponsor. Sometimes that can work in getting the word out as well. So there are certainly marketing opportunities out there that don't cost you anything but time and effort. Sometimes you just have to think outside the box and look for them. So back to who I am. You notice that that sign was at Bullwinkle's, which is a bowling center. Bowling is kind of my thing. I've been doing it since I'm 7 years old. That's me in my second year of competition in 1985. I bowled for 2 college programs, including UW Eau Claire. Taught bowling at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I've done tournaments all over the place, and now I do video with bowling. This lady in the middle is Liz Johnson. She is one of 2 women to win a national PBA Tour event, like a traditional men's tour event. She's one of 2 to do that, and happened to have the opportunity to snap a picture with her in Eagan, Minnesota. So back in 2019, before the pandemic, of course, I had the opportunity to go out to Anaheim, California to an event called VidCon. Has anybody ever heard of VidCon? Yeah? Okay. I didn't know what to expect. I went out there, and the biggest thing that everybody was talking about was live streaming. You can do live streaming to market your business. And by the way, if you think you're camera shy, just practice, just do it, you'll get over it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, show me to the camera. I can do this. I've been reporting on air for a decade and a half. But what I didn't have was the gear. So over time, you collect the gear and you go on Facebook Marketplace and eBay and you get the appropriate stuff. And bowling is, it's my thing, right? So I'm thinking, yeah, I'll pitch this to my company, but I want to do something on bowling, right? So I started up a live show on YouTube about the bowling. And that gets us to the bowling part, which is a passion project, right? So almost 5 years ago, I started up this YouTube channel, right? I'm going live and broadcasting to nobody, right? Because nobody knows about it yet. And over and over and over, week after week, I'm doing these long form interviews with bowlers. Tell me your story. And you start out with some people you know, and you kind of branch out from there. And I thought to myself, well, my Rolodex isn't really that big. So at the end of every episode, I'm going to have you challenge someone. You're going to put someone on blast, right? You're going to challenge someone to be on a future episode. And hopefully the word gets back to them and they come on too. And then the Rolodex grows and grows, and like a fungus, I start invading everything. And it's kind of worked. So about 30 or 40 episodes in, I have a coach on, right? A coach of a college program, Upper Iowa University. Her name is Nicole DePaul. She's Nicole Landry now. And after we turn off the live stream, it all went well. She asks me, she says, hey, I'm going to be hosting an NCAA bowling tournament here in Waterloo, Iowa at Cadillac XBC lanes. I want to live stream it. So what's it going to take? And I'm thinking she's asking me about like gear and what she's going to need to do a good live stream. So I start, rambling. Well, you need this camera and this to do per pair, and you need this headphones and microphones and blah, 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 blah. And she stops me in the middle of it and she goes, no, 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 you don't understand. I want to know what it's going to take to have you live stream it. And I'm like, oh, wow. I guess I never really thought about that or gave any serious thought about that because I just have my little setup in my basement. I'm doing this YouTube show. But you know what? I'll take a crack at it and we'll see what happens. And lo and behold, it worked out. It worked out well. And I've gotten several opportunities to do more live streams since then. So you do it over and over and you get the fancy intro video like this.
We are going to get it going.
Time you can bowl in something like this where it's just that hard and you can basically survive mentally, physically, emotionally. It's awesome.
That's that high flush pocket strike, and that's going to do it.
They came back in the end and were able to finish the job. That shows why that they're a nationally ranked program.
Got into this championship match and now are just absolutely putting on a show.
This tournament live stream is a special presentation of Bowling with the Pfeff.
You like the voiceover guy? Yeah, I got him on a website called Fiverr. You get cheap voiceovers, and I said, yeah, I want one that sounds kind of like the ESPN voiceover guy that's, promoting whoever their sponsor is. So yeah, from there, I start live streaming more tournaments, and it's working. Now we're bringing in a little residual income, and it's doing something I love. This is me at a tournament in Rochester, Minnesota. Yeah, there's a lot of cords and stuff that I've got to bring along. It's very labor intensive to set up a live stream, but on the other end, once it's all done and I can start packing stuff up, the whole place is thanking me and thinking, oh my gosh, this is great. And you look around and you see people on their phones watching the live thing, even though they're sitting right in front of it. So it's kind of cool. It's good stuff. Like I said, takes a lot of effort, but it also proved to me that I can do this professionally and offer it up as a service, where 5 years ago I would have said, this is something I probably need a little work on before I do that. So that opens things up further to merch. I have an Etsy store with Bowling with the Pfeff t-shirts and Bowling with the Pfeff hoodies. I have AdSense. Over the time I've been monetized on YouTube, and I have AdSense, which is the portion of the advertising revenue that they pass along to the creator. It's not much, okay? So if anybody has dreams of being, a YouTuber, I always say you can do it, but get sponsorships. Get sponsorships, because the AdSense money is dropping the bucket, unless you're Mr. Beast. And a podcast. I always wanted this show to not only be a live stream on YouTube, but also a traditional audio podcast, because that's easy, right? I do the show, strip out the audio, upload it to a podcast. I just didn't have the money to have a podcast hosting site. Well, got a second sponsorship, now I have the podcast. So it kind of opens up all kinds of opportunities.
Do you charge differently? Like, do you charge two bills, say for if you take a video, do a video, and then do a podcast, say your interview? Do you charge two different prices, or is it just one bundle?
I kind of keep that fluid. And I'm talking about for a client. My show, if I say, hey, what's your name? Adam. Are you a bowler? You say yes. Do you love it? Yes. Come on my show. I'm not charging anything for that, because that's just my passion project. It's what I love to do. It's on my YouTube channel. But it's fun because there are a lot of shows out there about bowling, right? They're not like mine, though. A lot of them are interviewing kind of the pro of the moment, the guy who just won on TV last weekend, or the guy who just signed a new deal with a ball company. And I'll have those guys on, but I'll also have guys from the area on. I've interviewed my teammates. I've interviewed a 11-year-old kid in Indiana who had just made a tournament called Junior Gold for the first time. Someday I'll interview Nick. He'll come on, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the hard sell. So someday Nick will come on. It's not about who is the greatest bowler in the world. It's about, do you love this sport and do you have a unique story to tell? And we all have a unique story to tell. It's just kind of finding the people who love the sport.
I think you should charge Nick for the interview.
Okay. All right.
He's got it, not a problem.
Yeah? Okay. All right. We'll talk offline. Yeah. Have my people call your people.
I don't like your broker.
No. So this thing has grown, further than I ever thought it would. And I mean, you talk to people. How long do YouTube channels and podcasts last? More often than not, people understand the work involved, the time that it takes, really the expense, and the little money that comes from it organically, and it weeds them out. But I've been going for almost 5 years and not stopping anytime soon. And this is my little outro video for really everything, the tournaments, the show, the videos I do, where, again, I can plug my sponsors.
Thank you for watching Bowling with the Pfeff. Pound the like button and subscribe button. It's the easiest way to support the channel, and it's free. Bowling with the Pfeff is brought to you by Chip Magnet. Raise your snack standards.
Jerry's Score More Bowling Supply inside Wagner's Lane. So Eau Claire, Wisconsin area's leader in bowling products and services since 1988. And Visionary Video Hub. Video with impact.
Email bowlingwiththepfeff@yahoo.com with questions or to appear on the show. You can also reach out on your favorite social media platform.
So the voice in there that wasn't the voiceover guy, that was my son. And when I got the additional sponsors, I'm like, well, I could spend more money on the voiceover guy, but hey, Carson, come here. I want you to read something for me. And it kind of stands out, doesn't it? A little bit. Kind of has you wondering, what's this? So I kept it. I thought it was kind of neat. So where do I go from here? Well, I have my live camera here, and I'm hoping I can, shoot some more video of people like you, and book some more clients and get this thing growing. Like you said, maybe hire some employees at some point, but you got to have business to drum that up, right? So, got to keep shooting. Drone license. In order to operate a drone commercially for video, you need a license. You need a license for the FAA. Sorry to single you out there on the screen, but you chose that spot. Or it could be over here too. We could do that too. Equal opportunity. You got to have a license, and that takes money, that takes time. I'll get there, but right now I am not a licensed drone operator, just a wannabe. Someday. Employees, office space, yeah. Hopefully in the future I can hire a person, some people to kind of share the load. Hopefully there is enough of a load that it can be shared, and we can have employees, have some kind of makeshift studio, editing suite, and physical location for people to go and support Visionary Video Hub. Questions? Yeah.
Drones. Aaron Akala from Drone Tours.
Okay.
Might be someone you want to connect with.
Okay.
Because he could you could certainly spend all the time to do that. Mm-hmm. But how often are you doing a drone video?
Good point.
Where you could potentially
outsource it.
Him,
yeah.
Have him do that part quick and then have that done. But he's good.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I can give you the connection afterward.
That's a great idea, and it's funny. I actually interviewed somebody on the show that does that I've had that at the back of my mind. Maybe either for the interim or, long term, somebody like Aaron and somebody like this gentleman maybe could help me out in that regard. But you're right. I mean, does drone video tell the story? Sometimes. And there's a place for it. How often? Who knows? Who knows?
I'm no marketer, but maybe like a name change for the company would be like Pfeffer Films.
Yeah?
Just because, I mean, you're a likable guy, you know, and like.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I guess instead of like this kind of makes me think of like YouTube or something like that.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
I could even see like, you know, your face, big smiling face, like Bitmoji style, Pfeffer Films, and then that kind of goes more with your bowling thing.
Yeah.
You know, so hand in hand with that. Just a thought.
Yeah. Bowling with the Pfeff, video with the Pfeff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Do that too.
Is there opportunity? I know bowling with the Pfeff is kind of your passion of what you do, but if you put time and effort into it, is there a future opportunity for that to be your sole source of income?
You know, I think anything is possible. I don't know. And there are, if you search on YouTube for, help like going viral and creating content that people, want to consume, and, the little settings in YouTube and the way you shoot things and the way you tag things, yeah, there are ways to kind of drink the Kool-Aid and do it in a way that is a little more, more easily consumed by the masses. I haven't really strayed from my format, and it's A, because I'm a little stubborn, B, because there's some ease of use for me, and I've gotten a good response from the people in the bowling community. So maybe. I think there would have to be some more, some more broadening of this thing, into some more revenue streams and things like that to get that going in that kind of way.
Okay, so in your videos, I guess, I don't know, they're not, like animated. I don't know if that's right. So why do you animate them versus like them just being a normal video of people?
I wanted there to be a pretty visible difference between the open and the outro versus the thing. I don't do animated videos most of the time. That's really just a filter through editing software. But I just wanted there to be a difference on those where you can really tell, okay, this is the open and this is the main part. This is what the tournament looks like versus the open, because if you're watching with the volume off, you kind of need to know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Company's name Visionary Video Hub. What is your vision for the company?
Ooh, that's a great question.
You've talked a lot about where you've come from
Mm-hmm.
and what you're doing now.
Yes.
But you really haven't talked about where you're going.
So I would like to, of course, more clients, the better. Of course, I feel like there is a certain type of client that works with this, and they're not, you can't pick them out from a crowd necessarily. There's almost some digging that you have to do to find that right client. And obviously, the more the merrier, because that means more money and I can keep this thing afloat. I want to get into, different kinds of gear and drones and things like that. But yeah, in the end, I'd like to be able to hire a few people, hire some videographers and some producers, because A, it's, it's easier to delegate the workload if the workload grows to that point, and B, I don't know this better than every videographer out there. I feel like I know it well enough to do the service, provide quality, and be affordable. But to bring in a great videographer with maybe some ideas that are a little different than mine, but also work, I think there's a lot of value in that. And more than just someone who can get the job done. Like I said, nobody can tell a story like I can, and it's not because I'm better, it's because I'm different. And, every other videographer is different too. So to have more options like that, I think helps. Does that answer it?
It does.
It does? All right. Good. Good.
How soon do you want that to happen?
Ideally, maybe in a year. I don't know if it'll be.
So you'd like to be done with CDC, be full-time Visionary Video Hub, and potentially have a couple contractors, if not an employee or two, working together in a studio in a year?
I'd like to not necessarily be done with CDC, but to be in a situation where I can partner with CDC and take them on as a client, but also have the amount of clients that can support not only me running this thing, but also paying an employee either full-time, part-time, whatever I can afford, whatever the workload determines. Yes. I think having office space would be great. I don't know if it's necessary right off the bat, but we'll see. Again, a lot of it depends on the client base, how many people are gonna buy in.
So when did you like launch this, like start all this?
So my company is an LLC, and I formed the LLC at the end of October of last year, but I had some stuff that I had to prepare. I had to talk with a lawyer about a contract that I could give to potential clients and things like that, and a couple of items of gear that I needed to purchase. It wasn't really until last month where I went on social media and went like this and said, I'm here, I'm open for business, let's go. So it's been a process, but that's kind of the timeline.
What are the business challenges that you're addressing or concerned about right now, and how might we be able to help you in that, or think through some of those ideas?
So I think...
You got the brain trust here. So.
Yeah, captive audience, this is awesome. I think there is a lot of power in word of mouth and in supporting, not necessarily through dollars, but just through awareness. I would say a great way to help me is take my card. There's a bunch of them over here. Follow me on the social platforms, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and tell your friends. You don't know who could end up starting a business someday, or who has a friend who's in one and really needs to get marketing but just doesn't have the time or the energy or the know-how, and I can certainly help with that. I feel like I'm well connected in this community, thankfully, because of my time in TV and my time at the health insurance company, but I don't know everybody. And it's kind of like the challenge thing on the show. I call it off the sheet. I can't off the sheet everybody, just by being here. So I guess my challenge to you would be, if you could spread the word. If you know of somebody who needs video production services, who has a need for marketing, who has an event coming up that they'd like to see live streamed, who wants to advertise on the radio and needs a powerful male voice to help drive that message across, who wants to start a podcast, have them give me a call. Look me up on social, shoot me an email, and we can get to work.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? You've already answered what we could do for you. That's great. Questions covered. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you. And a big thank you to Josh Wilson and the folks at CVTC for allowing me to present about Visionary Video Hub. I certainly appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you want to know more, just go to visionaryvideohub.com.